Oh boy.
This is chaos. As expected.
I actually don't know what I'm doing.
Oh.
Something's wrong. I'm already overwhelmed.
Oh boy, we have an interesting video today because I haven't built a computer in many, many years. The last time I've built a computer was when we had PS2 ports, and that's not the PlayStation, kids. So for the past like 10 or 15 years, I've primarily used Apple computers. I have a Mac Pro, a Mac Studio, a MacBook Pro, and I've just used Final Cut Pro for all that stuff. Oh, all the Pro stuff. But that's been like my preference, and it just has worked out really, really well. But I've recently started to get into gaming, and obviously Macs are not very good for gaming. They're actually quite awful for that. And we've recently moved over to DaVinci Resolve, and that allows us to use both Macs and PC for our video editing software. So conveniently, Gigabyte reached out to me to sponsor a video, and they provided almost all of the parts here. So thanks so much to Gigabyte for helping out with that. Let's get started. I'm pretty sure there's some good guides out there to look from, and the first one that we looked at recently was The Verge, so maybe that'll be good. We have a whole bunch of stuff here that we'll take a look at. It's probably gonna be easier for us to kind of show it off to you as we go along in the building process, but we also have some other things that we can't fit in this frame right now. Let me show you. We have this Gigabyte M32C 4K 144Hz monitor that's curved. It's pretty ridiculous, so I'm pretty excited about this. I'm gonna put this down. Oh, and Hyte sent out their Y60 case. This is a really neat looking case. It has a nice kind of like a corner view of things, so I'm really excited to check this out. So this would be the motherboard. It's the Gigabyte X570S AERO G. So this is a really good one for creators. They have this nice design here where it has a little bit of those white accents to it that I really like. That's been kind of my jam recently for tech. I remember now that we're supposed to put this on the box, so there's less of the electronic stuff or something. I don't have a wrist strap, but Linus got electrocuted. We should be fine, right? So be careful, don't break any pins, I guess. Let's get a peel going on here. Now, of course, I don't really know what I'm doing for sure, so if you have any suggestions or if you thought I did something really stupid, let me know in the comments, but be nice, like, you know, so I can go fix it later. First thing, the processor, right? We have the AMD Ryzen 9 5900X to put in here. This is just one step above their top of the line one for this current generation. All right, I have this knife here. Unfortunately, I don't have a machete like iJustine, but this will work. Wow, this is a big old box for a processor. Look at that. It's like a bag of potato chips. They say it's easy, but I actually feel a little anxious right now. So you lift up this little thing right here. So there's an arrow right here that I'm supposed to follow, and I believe that there is a little dot right here for these pins. Okay. Ooh, I'm shaking. Okay, I think I have it.
It's crunchy. You did it wrong.
No crunch.
No crunch.
Okay, we're good. All right, we have 4 sticks of 8 gigabytes of RAM. This is the AERO RGB memory. It's DDR4 4400 Hertz. Ooh, these are cool. Okay, so we have this little notch thing here. It's kind of like Legos, but just really expensive. I think things are still kind of easy and typical for building a PC, but it seems like there's just more options nowadays compared to when I was building it. We had Age of Empires at that time. I love that game. I used to play that game.
They have a new version.
They have new versions, yeah. The reason why I don't play that is because I'll play it for like 12 or 14 hours at a time, because literally what we would do, my friend Kevin and I, over dial-up, we'll spend our whole entire time building out our army just so we can have one gigantic battle at the end when we, you know, we're running out of time on our internet.
It's like that. Is that like the 60s or?
Shut up. There we go. Oh, that's cool. Look at that's all gonna be RGB. The next thing that we're gonna install is the M.2. All right, the next thing that we're gonna install is the M.2 SSD. This is the RS Gen 4 700S SSD here. Now the question is, where does it go on this motherboard? Because I actually have no idea. I wonder if it has a heatsink or not. Oh, look at that. That's a beauty right there. And we'll need some screwdrivers here. So we have an iFixit kit. I think this part right here is it. Oh, yes, that is it. Oh, I don't know what I'm supposed to do right here. Do I take this off? I think I take this off. That is an interesting looking screw. Oh, wow. Let's see if it'll work in here. No, that looks like it fits right. Yeah, I don't think we use this, so if we're supposed to, let me know. Here we have the Hyte Y60 Modern Aesthetic Case. Aesthetic. So let's open this up. Here. Nope. As my father used to say, must be smarter than the box. Okay. This thing is thick. It has kind of like a, I don't know, how you describe it, kind of like a fish tank design. So you can see all around it and it'll allow us to display our graphics card upright like this way. Oh, I think these are thumb tight screws. Does this just pop off? Okay. Oh, that's nice. Okay. And then we take off the top. Pardon me, it took a while. It's been a while since I've done that, you know. I wonder, are all of these screws the same? Because I probably should have been keeping track of which screw goes with what. Now we have to figure out how to put in the water cooler. To be frank with you, I've never installed one of these before in my life. I've used one of those old school ones that had the big heatsink on it and the fan. I'm just gonna be extra prepared, so I bought a whole bunch of coolant just in case we need to fill it up. I think this should be more than enough, and we'll put that in there, I guess. And I have a bunch of thermal paste just in case we need more. It has this neat little screen on it that I'm pretty excited about. Hopefully it'll give us some information about the temperatures, and that just adds a little bit of extra flair to everything. There are also fans on the actual radiator. 3 fans. Ah, yes, here's the radiator. Now, the one thing that I am really excited about with a system like this is that a AERO or radiator liquid cooled one doesn't have all these fans in it. So hopefully it's a lot quieter. Got this, we'll need that for something. And oh, I guess we won't need those other ones. Why did I buy so much thermal paste? Intel, that's AMD. Okay, maybe this is the right one. What's TR4, TRX 40 bracket? Intel, AM4 screws. I imagine like heat rises, so you probably want to have the fan suck it out. So let's see what would make that work. Do we put the fans in here first? I think we put fans in here first. Do we put fans in here first? I'm already overwhelmed. The question now is, which way sucks up? This would be the side that is facing down, so I imagine, I'm guessing that's how that works. I actually don't know what I'm doing right now. So we looked up some videos on how to actually put this thing together because I'm actually really confused, and this is actually not one of the first steps to go with. It's about the instructions for the Hyte casing to do so. So we're gonna replace some of the aesthetic fans in here and then put in the motherboard. So for all the fans we have here, we're going to replace them here with the AERO 140mm fans, the RGB fans. This. Cool. So we installed some of the extra fans. We're gonna pull in some air from the bottom, pull in some air from the front. You're gonna pull some air out from the back and some air out from the top because heat rises. That seems to make the most sense to me. If it's wrong, let me know. Now we gotta figure out how to put it into the actual case. So I think I need to take this out first. All right, let's put this in here and hope for the best. All right, now let's screw it in. Oh, it wasn't in all the way. So I think it's in and it works for that part, or it's fitting in there. So this is a Gigabyte 1000 watt 80 plus gold power supply. Let's install this one and see how it goes. All right. Maybe I understand why people might put that in later. So we have this from the bottom, yes. AIO time. So we're going with this design here. We're gonna come out from the top. Oh boy. Here's where cable management may make sense to figure out now. Let's just clump all these together. This is chaos, absolute chaos. I don't know what I'm doing.
This is blasphemy. This is madness.
I feel like it's starting to come together. This is exciting. Hopefully I'm not becoming overly confident about it. This part I'm a little bit anxious about. We do have some thermal grizzly here for the thermal paste, and I'm not sure how much to put on there, so I looked at the verge and I think we're gonna be okay. So let's go here. Cool. Just kidding. But actually I'm really like nervous. So they say just do a little pea size in the middle. Oh gosh. Okay, I think we're on. Now for all this mess, This is the part that I feel very overwhelmed. I don't know where all these cables are supposed to go. I'm afraid of hooking up things to the wrong things and it's gonna like under volted or over volted or something like that and fry it or I don't know. So hopefully this is kind of dummy proof and it doesn't allow me to attach things that I can't attach it to, but I don't know where any of this stuff goes. Okay, we spent a lot of time trying to figure out cables. I'm confident that something's not hooked up because I'm so like confused and overwhelmed and anxious about all of it. But we're gonna try to move on and see if we can at least get something to post and then figure out the rest of the issues later on. So for now, we're gonna put in the GPU. This is insane. This is the Gigabyte GeForce RTX 3090 Ti. My goodness. This has 24 gigs of GDDR6X RAM in it, which is just sounds ridiculous. Okay. It's ridiculous.
It's huge.
Wow. Oh yeah. We're going to just see if it'll post. We're gonna set up a monitor here. Now what's really exciting about this is that this is my first curved monitor. So we'll find out what the whole deal is about. Nice. Look how freaking sick this thing is. Let's plug it in and hope it doesn't explode. Nope. Oh, that's a beep and that's a red light.
NANI?! お前はもう死んでいる。
I'm sure that means something's wrong. As expected. So we think we might know what that beep was about. It mentioned something about memory. I pushed in the RAM a little bit more. It had a little bit of extra room. I would be surprised that that wasn't enough, but hopefully that's all it is. So let's go. The water force thing looks awesome. Yeah. Oh! I don't think it's supposed to beep like that, but it only recognizes one of the fans. So the fans are jacked up. Maybe that's what that is. So we called our friend Max Weinbach and he told us that the issue that we're having is that we just needed to update the BIOS on our motherboard in order to support the 5800X. So we did that. In the process, we also learned a lot of things about how fans and RGB worked out. Oh, and I found out that this was broken somehow. Who could possibly have done that? Me. I know what I'm talking about. Anyways, we were able to update things and we're gonna install Windows now. So let's get going. I don't know if that red light is like an issue for anything, but nothing's beeping, so that's a good sign. Oh gosh, look at how ancient this interface looks. This is crazy. This is for Windows 11? This looks like something like from, I don't know, XP era or something. All right, so it's installing. Let's hope everything works out because if we at least get into a running Windows system, this is actually not as much of a disaster as I was expecting, which is a pretty good sign for someone who hasn't really built a PC in over a decade. So, well, let's find out. All right, we have it all set up and here's what we did to get it working. First of all, we needed a fan controller because we have so many fans in here. I do believe we have 8 total fans and we were able to replace the middle fan, the one with the broken pin that someone did. So I got a Thermaltake fan controller that help out with all of that because you cannot daisy chain them, otherwise bad things happen. Now when I did that, I got a little bit confused because the RGB wasn't working on the fans and I thought you couldn't daisy chain them together. Well, it turns out you can, and I put 4 of them on each RGB header. I actually found one hidden at the very bottom of the motherboard there, and I got them all working. Now, I don't really know what I'm doing. I just kind of found something on the internet, so if that's wrong, let me know in the comments. Now, one thing that I really noticed is that this is a pretty tight fit, so you want to make sure that the cables are not bumping up against the AERO fans because you would turn it on and hear just some really shocking noise. You just kind of have to push them past it, and then you're all clear. Along with that, with this particular motherboard, in this case, you'll notice in the top left corner, it's pretty snug. It was actually pretty tight in there. I wasn't sure if it was actually going to fit in there, but it actually ended up working out all right. Now, one thing that's really cool about the Gigabyte AERO is that it has 2 M.2 slots, and I actually forgot about that when I initially installed the M.2 drive. So I decided to actually move it down to the bottom because I have the PCI riser here, and that kind of gets things in the way. So I'd rather have the M.2 an area that's a little bit harder to access after I've used it. So I have that top M.2 slot easily available if I ever want to expand my storage. And speaking of that riser, it's really cool being able to see your GPU, well, vertically, but it really kind of restricts a lot of things that you can do. And one of the things that the riser prevents you from being able to do is use 2 GPUs because the Gigabyte AERO, the motherboard, allows you to use 2 GPUs, which is really crazy, especially for creative tasks. The Hyte Y60 is a really cool case and probably way better if you're not doing as much as I'm doing with it. In my particular case, I want to put a whole bunch of things in there, but with this riser, it blocks a whole bunch of the slots that are available. And along along with that, I wanted to put a Camlink Pro into this computer, but you'll notice that the back plate, well, it's quite long, and it would work quite well on that PCIe riser, but it doesn't fit into any of the back plates here, so that's kind of a bummer. So instead, I put in an Elgato 4K60 in there because I usually use an external capture card, and I might as well use the internal one. I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to do with the Camlink Pro. Maybe I'll have to go back to the USB Camlink. So that's the issue with the Hyte case, not the Gigabyte motherboard. I also wasn't able to get any of the data or information on my WaterForce display, and I realized that there's a little micro USB cable that you plug into the bottom part where the USB headers are. I am learning how a motherboard works. And then finally, cable management. One of the things that I ended up doing was replacing that little spider Nvidia cable for the GPU that had to have a whole bunch of power cables attached to it, and just replaced it with this one single 600 watt cable, which cleaned it up a ton. It looks so much better. And then, of course, a whole bunch of cable management on the back, and it looks a lot cleaner now. So let's do the peel and a little hype reel. Oh, that rhymes.
I got goals to chase, I got roads to pave. Not yet where I wanna be, but I got close today. I went ghost today, I got least to say. I be focused on these dreams like I didn't sleep today.
I think it looks pretty sweet. I also set up some nanolace over here, but how does it perform? Okay, first of all, I have to say that this Gigabyte monitor is amazing. It's gorgeous, it's nice and bright, has HDR capabilities, has a nice curve to it, and man, that 4K and the 144 Hertz is just really nice. And because of that, we have to test it out on the most important thing first, Apex. All right, we're gonna have everything here at maxed out settings for the video at 4K, mind you. All right, I'm stoked. Let's get this. Oh, I just love the curve. Oh, it's so vibrant. Now, what's interesting and neat is that once you load into Apex, it really kicks into HDR. So over here, the nice thing about the WaterForce is it tells us that we're going at about 154 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, we're moving nice and smooth here. Got my Rocket Kona Air XP. You can charge it and everything. It's wireless. It's pretty nice. We're getting about 145, 150 frames per second, even though we're moving like crazy. Sitting steady at 135 frames per second. Got one. We're sitting at about 140 frames per second right now. Nice, got another one. I screwed up. All right, so while playing that, even amongst really intense action, I was able to get between 140 to 150 frames per second at 4K. That's exceeding what the monitor is able to do, so that's pretty awesome. All right, we're actually in the project for the video that you're watching. It's like a little Inception type of thing. So what we see here is that it definitely scrubs really fast. It's a 4K timeline. I'm having no issues here, and it's just moving like a champ here. So that's actually really cool. It's like crazy smooth. I don't actually notice like any sort of stuttering anywhere. Yeah, see how fast it's like moving? It's crazy. Yeah, there's no issue here. So yeah, this thing is a champ for editing video on. Now, instead of me just saying it runs smoothly, here are the Puget scores. We have an overall score of 1,863 and a standard overall score of 2,170. So there you go. Holy geez, this thing is moving crazy fast. I know we're running off of the 5900X. There's new AMD processors out there, but this thing still is amazing. So it didn't go obsolete just because new processors were announced. We have Ruby here to help us with the Cinebench scores. The multi-core score is 21,174 points, while the single core score is 1,566 points. Not too shabby. And then finally we have 3D Mark, which has a time spy score of 19,017. The graphics score is 21,162. The CPU score is 12,080. So I don't know if that's actually really great. Let me know. I've never run this before. This is the first time. So how do you think the Apple user did? Let me know in the comments. I'm surprised that it actually worked. Nothing blew up. It actually posted fairly quickly. The biggest hurdle was that I didn't know that I needed to update the BIOS, and well, I needed a fan controller. This thing looks really awesome. I'm really excited about your butt's in my face. Cloud's gonna join us for this outro here. But this thing's really awesome. Thank you so much to Gigabyte for sponsoring this video and supplying almost all the parts here. Thanks for Hyte for sending out the case. This thing is awesome. I love the way it looks, and I'm very excited to use this for many years to come. Let me know in the comments how I did, any tips you have for me, anything that you were really surprised I was able to figure out on my own, and well, just be nice. Anyways, Cloud and I are gonna head out now, so thanks for watching This Is Tech Today. Until next time. I did, oh no.